one of them.
Hi, guys.
So,
Sorry. On traffic. Oh, Stan.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Savannah Hall.
Savannah Halter is the auditor. Okay. So Henry, I'm gonna go ahead and let Savannah in.
Okay.
Savannah, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
So you're first on the agenda tonight to go ahead and do a presentation to the board about the audit. So they do have a copy of the audit at their seat. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to you.
So Steve is actually joining as well. He's the main guy, the auditor. I am communications manager, so I obviously communicate the most with our clients, with Karen, who has been awesome to communicate with. I am here to answer questions on behalf of that and kind of say hi to you all. But Steve and Ash. Ash is another CPA that works with us. She will be attending as well. So any questions you guys have after you review the audit, any, as far as anything you see in the audit report, any questions you have as far as accounting methods and whatnot, that will be either Ash or Steve who will be answering those questions. And I think that they're on here. Karen, is Karen here? I can't see.
let
Okay.
Ash in.
Okay,
So,
perfect, perfect.
This is Ash, but not really. It's Steve.
Oh.
Using
Trying to throw us off there.
and I'm guessing that since you laughed, you can hear me, so that's good. That's the way to confirm audio quality, I guess. Well, thank you guys. And let me just verify, I can positively confirm you can hear me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So thank you all for the opportunity to present the audit report tonight, and appreciate you guys being there. Appreciate the board's volunteerism. It's greatly appreciated. And so I wanted to let you know that the audit went very well again this year. Your staff just does a great job of getting us documentation, of doing the accounting, preparing reports, all of those things that are critical to the accounting side of things and the financial side of things. You will note on the pages, the early pages of the audit report, our report, which is now 3 pages long and seems like it says a lot, but the primary thing that it says is that the financial statements that you are looking at when you're looking at them are without material misstatement. That's our primary goal when we do an audit, is to verify that the financial statements are without material misstatement. We have a number of other tasks that we do. In issuing that report, we verify that the district was in compliance with a host of different Oregon compliance requirements. And that report is at the very back of the audit report that indicates compliance with all of those various different issues. And we do a number of other things during the audit. We gain an understanding of the district's internal controls. We assess those, although we do not test internal controls, and we don't issue a report on your internal controls, but we base our audit procedures on our understanding and assessment of those controls. And in so doing, we will essentially use either basic audit procedures or modify our audit procedures if we identify controls that are not something that we can rely on to do our standard procedures. But ultimately, again, our goal is to issue that report that says the financial statements are good, and they are. And so between that and again, letting you know that the audit went well, that we didn't have any real problems, there were no significant journal entries that we had to make adjusting the financial statements at all. There are a number of new things that we were challenged with this year. The lovely folks at GASB, the Governmental Accounting Standards Board, who I wish would go on vacation for a couple of years, quite honestly, because they keep changing things. But they added a couple of new things this year. One that requires us to examine the leases and the subscription-based information technology agreements, SABIT as we call them. And those we are supposed to capitalize when they are agreements that meet the criteria established by GASB. So that added a nice little chunk of work for everybody. And I think in your guys' case, you engaged a company called DebtBook to help with determining the existence of those agreements that met the criteria and then help place a value on them. We examined those reports and the determinations made by that group. I can't say that I'm 100% on board with the decision that GASB made to have us add those to local government's financial statements, but they are there and in good order. So you will only see those and a number of other accruals, what we call full accrual additions to the financial statements. On the first two financial statements in the report, the statement of net position and the statement of activities. And those are what we call government-wide full accrual financial statements. They're designed to kind of represent what business financial statements look like. We have the long-term debt on there and the capital assets and the accumulated depreciation of the capital assets. Those are all things that are typically not part of your budget basis accounting, or modified accrual, we call it. So it takes a good number of adjustments to get from modified accrual to full accrual. And we go from the term fund balance, beginning and ending fund balance. You guys are familiar with those terms, to beginning and ending net position. That phrase indicates full accrual and that we are incorporating into that all of those assets and liabilities that show up on those statements. Some of the most significant liabilities that show up are those that have something to do with PERS and or OPEB. OPEB is other post-employment benefits. And the values that show up there are provided to us by Oregon PERS and the district's insurance company, or the actuaries are hired to create the estimated values that go into those or that are used to create the values there. They are very importantly estimates that are there. And so it's important to recognize that the financial statements have some pretty significant estimates in them, especially when you look at those government-wide statements. So let's see. I could go on if you'd like to hear more. I would like to open it up to questions if you have any at this point, though.
I do not, thank you.
Any questions?
Nope, thank you.
That- That's a really good thing because when you ask me questions, you have to listen for another half hour.
Sorry, we do have one question.
Oh, no,
No,
okay.
actually, I don't. I'm just looking it over and I'm like, at this point, I really don't. I mean, because you said that, I mean, overall, you issued your opinion, but when you're looking over the books and stuff and everything seemed acceptable that from a
Mhm.
transaction standpoint, so it's not like if you're making any recommendation of any books anything having to be done from what policy states for them, however your guys' policy reads from an accounting standpoint, everything looks acceptable, correct? I
Everything
mean,
does. Yeah, I appreciate the question. Internal controls, I think, is generally what you're asking about. And every place has the opportunity to improve on internal controls. The reality is that the resources available to improve those internal controls are limited. You can either spend a lot more money having a few more people in the office to maximize the efficiency and effectiveness of those controls, or you can hire some more staff to teach kids. And so, every place could have greater separation of duties in ways that may ultimately minimize the risk of material misstatements some more. But we don't recommend that necessarily. We're accountants, we love internal controls, but at some point they are adequate. They minimize the risk of material misstatement and what we call errors and irregularities to an acceptable level.
what is
Ultimately, oh, sorry.
what's an acceptable level? when
That's a
errors
great
happen?
question. An acceptable level is one that is adequate to detect and or prevent, I should say prevent and or detect and correct errors that occur, because errors do occur from time to time, input errors, errors that where there's a journal entry that may be my favorite thing to do with journal entries is to get my debits and credits backwards so that the second time around I can get them right. That's a review of work that is an internal control. And so an acceptable level is that and it's a very judgmental place. But essentially, getting to a point where the controls again prevent or detect and correct errors and irregularities. So it's not a hard, fast point in any mind. It's a judgment call. But again, we're looking for material misstatements and errors and internal controls that don't catch significant errors or stop them. So great question, hard thing to answer, I would say. Does that help?
It does, thank you.
Okay. Yep. Any other questions, follow up on that or other things?
No, I think we're good. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you guys very much. And again, I appreciate the board. Your guys' volunteering is quite amazing to me that you folks do that and continue to do that. And my hat's off to you. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for partnering with us.
Yes,
Have a good evening.
You too.
thank you.
Have
Bye-bye.
a good evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, Savannah. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, next on your agenda is the resolution for Classified Appreciation Week. We're going to go ahead and do it this meeting because the Appreciation Week is the first week in March and you guys don't meet till the end of March. So that would seem
That was really
odd.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a separate page on your desk or on your table spot.
So Whereas the education of the youth is essential to the future of our community, state, country, and the world. And whereas classified employees are the backbone of our public education system, and whereas classified employees work directly with students, educators, parents, volunteers, business partners, and community members, and whereas classified employees support the smooth operation of offices, the safety and maintenance of our building and property, and the safe transportation, healthy nutrition, and direct instruction of students. And whereas our community depends upon the trust classified employees to serve students, and whereas classified employees with their diverse talents and true dedication nurture students through the school years. Now therefore be it resolved that the Jervis School District #1 Board of Directors proclaim the week of March 4th through the 8th, 2024 to be Classified Employee Appreciation Week. And be it further resolved that the Jervis School District #1 Board of Directors strongly encourage all members of the community to join in this observance, recognize the dedication and hard work of these individuals. Adopted the 15th day of February, 2024. Very good.
Thank you to all our classified staff.
100%. Thank you
Yes,
for
and
all they do.
employees. You'll notice that at your desks or your spots are from the Board Appreciation Month in January. These are some hydro flasks for you to look at their personalized service.
Aw,
Thank
so
you.
thank you.
Very,
Very
very
good.
kind. And then you're on to approval of your minutes.
Okay, did anybody see anything in the minute?
I had a few little ones. I let Sandra know. First one was just in the meeting minutes for Thursday, January 11th. We had someone under public forum, but then at public forum time, no one spoke, so she was gonna correct that one. And then on the January 18th, under the approval of minutes, the motion is not correct.
Good.
Other than that, looks good to me.
Okay. I move that the Jervis District #1 Board of Directors approves the regular and executive session, January 11th, 2024, with corrections by Director Jones, and the regular and executive session, January 18th, 2024.
Do we have a motion?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good. Yes. Okay, good. Public forum, do we have anybody?
Me, Karen will get over it.
You get a talker?
I'm gonna talk. I'm just-
Very good, thank you. But I gotta read something, so. But before you start, let me read this to you, or to everybody. Public participation in board meetings. Statements by members of the public should be brief and concise. Chairperson may, at his or her discretion, establish time limits or discussions or oral presentations by a visitor of any topic. Speakers may offer objective criticism of the school operations and programs, but the board will not hear complaints concerning individual school personnel. Chairperson will direct complaints to appropriate means for the board's consideration and disposition of legitimate complaints involving individuals. At this time, members of the public are invited to come and present concerns to the board. And welcome.
Thank you. I love public speaking. Favorite. I'm Christina Leinbach, for those of you who don't officially know me. I am the bond lady if you're on the internet. And I just wanted to give you kind of an update of where the pack was at. We have Lisa Miller, who was behind you, and John Ogden and I are working kind of as the tech behind the scenes type of people. We've sent out dozens and dozens of emails in contact with the public. We've got a lot of people responding, mostly positive, back to us. We have a good list. We've got dates for door knocking. We've got dates for phone calls, very extensively. The sign up sheets went out today. Hopefully I did the Google Docs right, because it's not my forte, but got it figured out. So I just hope that, let's do it. Sorry, I'm like thinking about things. I don't like public. We are still working on some fundraising also. We're about $1,000 short of our goal that we would like to be at before we start, just for materials and postage and paying for, all the little things that are going to go into it. But we still have a few letters to get out, so we're hoping that the community will kind of rally. Local businesses also, so we're working on that. But yeah, I just wanted to give you a little bit of an update of where we're at, and we are fully behind whatever you support tonight. Let's hurry through everything else so we can get. Okay. That's all I got.
Thank you. I don't know that anybody online wanted to make public comment. Wait a couple of minutes.
Okay.
To raise their hand.
I know.
Doesn't look like it. These are all staff members, so.
Very good. All right, on to reports.
Okay, well, Prairie is not here tonight because she's helping with Unified Basketball, I believe.
That's right.
So we have two very competent people in her stead. We have Cassie Mendoza and Liliana Zamora Rodriguez. So come on up.
Come on,
please.
guys.
Hello, ladies.
You're the lucky winners. And I don't know which one's Cassie and which one's Liliana. So
I'm Kathy. I'm Liliana.
Hey there. Thanks for coming out tonight, guys.
So, I'm sorry, we've never really done this before. Just as an overview of what's been going on in Gervais High School, so far for sports, the boys basketball went to playoffs up until the third round in Regis. And the girls basketball ended their season with their game against Culver. Wrestling team, they ended their season already as well. And it seems like they're going to have a lot of potential for the next upcoming season. As for activities in the high school, we recently had a winter dance. Is that what it was called? Yeah, I think so. Winter dance last Friday. We sold about maybe 25 tickets. Around that same amount showed up, and it was a pretty fun event, and it included a lot of activities such as karaoke and ring toss and stuff like that. And it's and then a lot of people, all the people that went said that they had a great time. So. Okay, and then for Valentine's Day, NHS sold a lot of valograms and sold quite a few. It was a success. And then for upcoming events, we have Unified Basketball, which they had a game today in Wilsonville, and then again on the 20th at home. So if you guys can make it to that, that would be great. And then FFA is going to hold their alumni auction on Saturday at the Bravo Ranch in the evening. So if any of you guys are alumni, you guys are more than welcome to come. And then on Monday, there's a district convention for FFA at North Marion. And most of our members are competing and attending. And then with the Dornbecker pageant, it's going to happen March 16th at 7 p.m. and everyone's welcome to come. Tickets are $5. And then the upcoming spring sports are just softball and track. And their official practices start this month, I believe. And I think we're still looking for a softball coach. Yeah. And then we'll also be having a food drive in March. So in like the beginning or the middle.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I believe we'll know Sunday where the boys play on Friday. So,
Now they're seating, right?
yeah,
Where they get some.
right. And then we have tentative plans to try and get a runner bus going.
Oh, good.
So. See how that goes.
I go, is Cobra in it? We wouldn't have to go all the way there, would we?
We could have to go we could have to go
We just don't know.
like way on the other side of the state, different time zone.
Eastern Oregon, here we come.
Yeah. So, so for administrative reports, Creighton was supposed to go tonight, but he's on vacation.
Oh,
So we'll let the guy take a vacation.
all right.
Yeah,
Yeah, he said he would zoom in. I said, you're not.
Oh,
goodness.
That's all right.
Such a late call. And we've got, Tony and Andrew are at the Blazer game with the
Oh,
kids
yes,
reward trip
that's
tonight.
right.
So, you are left with just Karen and myself.
No. Alright.
My cue. Just trying to move along to get that important part.
All right, well, as far as my board report this month,
The auditors were here. I feel like they took a little bit of my time, so I'll try to move through fast. Page 35, one of the things that I pointed out is that things are pretty much where they should be on revenues. And one of the things affecting under special revenue funds, and page 35 doesn't have a page number, by the way. So you have to get there. But under special revenue. Special revenue funds for the read-to-date state and federal, you'll see that we're only at 11.84 when we were at about 27.55 last year. And that's due to, we got to claim up front like 3/4 of SIA last year by this time. But we haven't been able to claim it yet because they kind of locked down those funds. They were really late putting out the budget, final budget documents, and now they're requiring all kinds of things before they'll release them to us. So it's been kind of frustrating because, a lot of other districts are feeling that frustration too, because we are earning great interest in our accounts right now. And so
Oh,
they're
yeah,
sitting
more
and
money.
holding our funds and earning the interest we would have liked to have earned. So that is a little frustrating. And then on page 36, the next page, in the general fund, year-to-date other expenses, you'll see that last year we had spent 80% of actuals. And this year we're at 27. That's not anything to worry about because that's just kind of a smaller pocket of funds. It's just some odds and ends things. And so it's not, it looks big, but it's really, any little amount. And I know last year we bought the replacement truck that we had the truck stolen and we had bought the replacement truck by that time. And so, it's just kind of what it is not a big deal for that. And then on page 39, I put together that little graph of where it's projecting we are going to end. I tried to get as clear of a picture of this as I could, but it is hard to get those numbers to come out. And it's showing 1.6 million. And so that's going to be kind of the number we're going to be watching. And this is general fund without the charter school account in it. And so we're just kind of keep an eye on that number. That is definitely, lower than what we brought in this year. And, we hope it doesn't get much lower than that. Maybe it might go a little bit up, but not really positive.
Where do you want it to be?
Well,
Or should we have it? What percentage of the overall should it be at where we feel somewhat comfortable?
Well, the thing with this being at this figure is that this includes what we consider our contingency, which is just that 8.33% reserve. And we're not even at that figure as far as our budget because we just didn't have the funds to budget in that amount. So, because that would be over $1 million if we were truly doing that. So it is a fairly low amount to have just like 600,000 kind of rolling over. But it's, the thing is, either you're spending it in this year or you're rolling it over into the next year. And so, but we don't want to get so close that it's becoming where we're dipping into contingency. You always want to hope that you're going to have something in there.
So what's the goal from a contingency standpoint? What percentage is that?
Well,
What is it?
that's that 8%.
We were at 6.9% this year.
I think it was about, it was right around at 7%. And we're trying, we always starts a budget trying to put that amount in. And then, it gets really tight and then we got to move a little bit of that into somewhere else. And
Right.
So.
Karen,
that
does this
is the goal.
projected ending fund balance reflect us using the loss of ESSER money to offset some of those salaries?
We have brought those salaries in and so we have changed those codes from the 100.
So then this includes that.
Yeah.
And
but
that won't happen again.
So
But
that's-
it's not taking all of ESSER yet, so we still could use more ESSER to kind of, you know.
But once that's done, that's a one-time fact
Yep.
that you don't have that going forward is what
Right.
I'm trying
It's not
to.
an 8-year thing.
Correct.
So,
I would suspect, so based on some of the legislative updates I received today,
Mhm.
there is groundwork being laid for, when they convene for the long session next January to do some work on the state school fund, specifically with regard to special education dollars. Because we know that, you know, we have more than 11% kids identified as SPED
Mhm.
in that.
program, and then also for high cost disability, you know, we only get maybe 50 cents on the dollar that we spend. And their proposal is to get rid of the cap of 11% and then to try to fully fund that high cost disability. So
And that would help us. a
that
lot.
would help a lot.
That would, yeah.
Perfect.
Look at the state trying to help us.
And then one last item,
See when it comes through.
Exactly.
Hold your breath.
so it's about time for our statement of economic interest filing with Oregon Government Ethics. So on March 15th, which is going to be before our next board meeting, they're going to be sending something out to you. And so just know that it's coming. And if you have any questions, let me know. When I come on the 21st, I will have something kind of generally typed up about it. Because then I will have had a chance to go in and do mine and know if there's anything that you might run into that's you have questions about. So once I go in and do mine on the 15th, then I will get something out to you.
Okay,
Okay,
So-
got it?
look for an email.
Yes, but that's the start of the window, and I didn't write down when the window closes, but I don't think, I felt like it was about a month.
Yeah.
that they gave us.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Me too.
Okay, my board report, clearly most of it will be talking about the bond next, but, I just wanted to give you an update on the capital funding request. So tomorrow, I'm slated to give testimony starting at 1 o'clock in front of the subcommittee, asking for the $1 million. OEA, wrote a letter of support, as did the Jervis Education Association, and so I'm gonna sit with, her name's Cynthia. She's gonna sit with me at the table, asking for the $1 million and as a partnership. So I'm really hopeful, maybe I'm delusional, but. it's a
Don't
good
ask,
place to
don't get.
be. Yeah. So I'll let you know how it goes. They won't make any decisions tomorrow, but I also then did, submit all of the written testimony that we had. I finally yesterday got an email, 2 days ago, got an email that said, thank you. Yes, you are on the agenda. So I forwarded it to Representative Kramer and I said, does this mean I'm being annoying? Should I stop? And she said, maybe go ahead and stop but submit all of it with your testimony tonight. Right, so.
That's awesome. You now know our name.
Yeah.
Right.
If there's eye rolling when I get up there, then I know that maybe push the limit a little bit. But anyway, so there's good news on that. And unless you had any other questions about my board report, the rest of it is for action items.
Anybody?
On board focus.
Now we're talking about the full job.
Okay, I just want to put this out here so we remember, but there was some information or people not understanding what was going on, but this year for some reason the kids weren't allowed, and I think it was elementary or middle school to give candy with their Valentines.
Oh,
And
yes, I did
so
know
it is a policy. I'm not sure about enforcement on it, but I can say that I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of other things in Portland like that. And I do know that weed gummies were like given out and stuff like that. So there are safety concerns. Now, the way that we can work around this would be if we maybe look at the policy, and then you said it was an AR that we could have as well, so that we ensure that the teachers are able to carve out time with the students to make the Valentines and tell the office or the administration what kind of candy the kids would like to pick out and give to each other or whatever.
Oh.
That way, we ensure that everybody's safe, nobody's getting, things that they may be allergic to or all that other kind of stuff. So we really need to lean on our teachers and have our administrators really get that down, that message down to make sure that this doesn't happen again. So the board wants to be proactive in dealing with whatever it is that the community has concerns with. And so I'd just like to put this on record so that we, going forward, can, get a satisfactory solution for everybody.
Yeah, but you're right, you gotta
I
worry
mean,
about everybody's allergies and all this other stuff nowadays and stuff, so you gotta vet that all out, right?
it all comes back down to safety and liability for the school.
Yeah.
And it's not because we want to be mean or anything. I mean, it's not anything like that. We're just trying to keep the kids safe, and we're trying to follow the rules that have been set out for us.
And like, still have the kids have fun.
That's right.
So I'll work with the administrators and we'll start drafting some ARs for you guys to take a look at. And one of the things that, we also have to keep in mind is like Wednesday, the day Valentine's Day fell on. Is also a day where our Russian children cannot eat fish or oil.
Yes.
And so that pretty much eliminates all candy. And so it is very hard to tell a Russian student, sorry,
You can.
you can't take any of that, it's just, we have mechanisms in place where the teachers can go, okay, I know next year Valentine is gonna be on a Friday, which Wednesdays and Fridays, our Russian kids cannot eat fish and oils. So they can say, I need this vegan cupcake and I need 22 individually wrapped candies with no peanuts in them or
Or
whatever.
whatever. Yeah.
So each building has funds to be able to make that work. So we'll work on that AR and get that going.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Anything else? Nothing? Good. We're good. On the concession.
I'm good with any consent items. Did you guys have anything? Fine. Okay. Then, I move that the Jervis District #1 Board of Directors approve the consent items in mass, 7.1, 7.2, 7.3, 7.4, 7.5, 7.6, and 7.7.
We have a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
I,
All right. Very good. We do have a big softball field.
yes, we just hired the person. I
Thank you.
mean, obviously you clearly do.
He doesn't know what he's doing.
It was an addition to the.
Very good. Well, I'm glad well, not that he doesn't help out
Yeah,
in other
yeah.
ways, but
Yeah.
it's very nice. All right. That's done. Here we are.
Okay, your next action item is establishing a number of interdistrict transfers. Just for your reference, I printed out a singular piece of paper that says transfer information as of today. And I just kind of wanted to know where we're at, because usually we just go with 100 in, 100 out.
Yeah.
Call it good, right?
Yep.
So I didn't know exactly where we were for this year. And so right now we have 122 kids transferring out and 109 kids transferring in. But what I thought was really interesting about this data, and it's at the top of that box there, is that, so we have 71 kids that pretty much for their entire academic career, they've not come to any of our schools. And so, and then we have 45 kids who rolled over from last year, or the year before. They've always come to our schools, or they've started coming to our school. But what is also very interesting, if you look at new for this year, we had 60 kids transferring in newly for this year, which outpaces the new transferring out at 40. And so we're gaining on that number of kids who are transferring in versus transferring out versus transferring in. And when you look at the numbers, they're coming from Woodburn. You're gonna see in the lower third box there,
Oh,
that
yeah.
you've made a 21 student gain there, and a 3 student gain or over on Salem Kaiser. And then a lot of the kids that, go to North Marion or Silver Falls, Mount Angel, like their parents work over there. They're younger kids, they go with their parents, which kind of makes sense. So I would like to recommend that for this year, you put the number at 130 in and out. Or for the coming year.
Does anybody have any issues with that? or dialogue? Then I'm gonna move. I move that the Jervis School District Number 1 Board of Directors approves 130 of students to transfer in district and approves 130 of students out of district for the year 2024 through 2025.
I have a motion. Motion, excuse me.
Second.
I have a second. No more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oh, super.
Okay.
All right.
Your next action item for consideration is whether you're gonna put forth a bond for road consideration in May.
Yes, ma'am.
So I believe Angie
She give us a
submitted
letter.
a letter that
Yep.
she would like Henry to read or someone to read.
It's right here.
This one?
Yeah.
Dear fellow board members, I'm unable to attend Tuesday's meeting because of observance of a religious holiday. However, I wanted to make sure that my statement was read into the record regarding resolution for the bond. I'm in favor of this bond because it provides a solution for our facilities issues, which are becoming a crisis. Our poor facilities serve as barriers to our staff being able to educate our children and are also impacting students' ability to learn. While it would have been nice to ask for a smaller amount, the bottom line is because we have not been unable to obtain voter support for any amount during the last 30 years. The district is now finds itself with significant expensive projects that must be completed. Anything less than this amount will only serve as a temporary band-aid and provide inadequate educational opportunities for our students. Additionally, it is important for members of the public to recognize that the district does not have a financial means to continue operating buildings in this state of disrepair. And if necessary, the district is prepared to seek consolidation, thank you, so that our students can have learning environments that are safe and provide educational experiences that their peers in other districts receive. Passing this bonds means that we will get to keep our local school district and keep local control and still pay less than others. Failure of this bonds means we lose our district, lose our local control, and pay even more for other districts' bonds. Sincerely, Angie Torn. That was very well said.
I think Maria also has a statement to read regarding the bond.
Very good.
Well, as we proceed today with the vote on whether to include this bond on the docket, critical to recognize the potential ramifications. If the bond fails to pass, we will face the difficult task of contemplating consolidation or other way solutions for the school's future. I feel a deep responsibility towards providing our children with a safe, nurturing environment they can take pride in. However, it's essential for everyone to grasp that if the bond doesn't succeed, we've already begun discussing alternative paths, which will be the focal point of our June board meeting. I want to emphasize that this board is fully committed and we're not taking this matter lightly. It's imperative for the Jervis community to understand that a yes vote on this bond is critical and crucial if we aim to sustain a school with a legacy spanning a century.
I also have a statement I would like to read. I wanted to make sure that as a public servant that I am upholding the duties of my office and representing my constituents accordingly. I think in a small town like Jervis, where we only have around 2,600 residents, it's extremely difficult to find community members that are qualified and willing to volunteer. I have been in this community for over 25 years and raised both my children here in Jervis. As most of you know, school bonds are a way of borrowing money from investors to fund capital projects for schools, such as building new facilities, renovating existing ones, or purchasing equipment. This is not new and has become the usual way for schools to maintain and upgrade facilities. All homeowners should understand the importance of maintaining their homes, and school buildings have similar needs. Since school bonds require voter approval and are repaid through your property taxes, most Jervis residents should have already received letters with a copy of their most recent property statements. These are public documents that are accessible on the Marion County Tax Assessor's website. Again, the general obligation bonds are based on the assessed value of your property, not the market value. As a member of the Jervis School Board, I want to remind Jervis residents that the school board and superintendent are not responsible for other previous superintendents or board members' decisions. That said, I want to address the severity of our school buildings and their current state, especially the hard decisions that will have to be made if the bond doesn't pass. We will not be spending more money to try and pass the bond again. Instead, we will listen to the Jervis residents. If our community continues to oppose the bond, we will be forced to consider starting proceedings to consolidate schools within our neighboring districts. However, this will not alleviate the concerns of the residents who refuse to vote yes for the bond because of increased property taxes. If the bond does not pass, depending on your location, residents will end up paying for a much larger bond in the district they fall into. Besides all the negative aspects of closing a small rural school, we will be losing a sense of community identity and cohesion. Our schools serve as a hub that hosts events, activities, and gatherings that foster a sense of belonging and pride in Jervis. I have gone to the Jervis City Council several times to ask for support for the school bond. Unfortunately, I was unable to secure their support. Again, tough decisions will need to be made, but the future of our school resides with you, the voters of Jervis.
I don't either. I just, I'm gonna put the faith that folks understand, and we've had some great outings, and we're still gonna continue and things there, and I think we're starting to reach the right people. And so we're always gonna have naysayers, not gonna be able to stop them, but we just want more of the naysayers. So, okay, let's get into it. What's
So you've got two, I've included in your packet. The first page is just a review of what we talked about last week in terms of what the various amounts give you to work with, in addition to the $6 million awesome grant. So we know at $1.75, you come up short by 151, almost $152,000. At $1.80, with the $6 million awesome grant, it gives you a cushion of just over $600,000. And at $1.85, that gives you a cushion of about 1.4 million. But remember that when we say cushion, so all of these costs have been escalated for a 2025 start date, but we know that the HVAC and the electrical and the plumbing issues continue to escalate more rapidly than, you know, what
other stuff?
other
building
things. And so, as I pointed out last week, like none of this, you know, we can value engineer, which means that once you sell the bonds and you see the actual prices coming in, you're going to have to start eliminating things because you can't afford it, right? Like any other person making choices. But the kinds of projects you have identified is going to be very difficult to value engineer because they're HVAC and plumbing and asbestos removal and flooring and roofs and windows. It's not like you're deciding between a granite countertop and a Formica countertop, right? So in the resolutions, I've created two options for your consideration. So one at $1.80 and one at $1.85. And then if you look at both little packets, if you go to the back page of each of those packets, I've highlighted for you at the bottom, if these projects do come in under budget, or maybe we actually do get the seismic grant, or maybe we do get the capital construction grant of $1 million, what could you afford to add to the list? if everything else came in on budget. So at $1.80, you've got the improving the restrooms at the athletic field. And again, all of these projects were ones that were prioritized by the public in the priority surveys. So these are not things that we just then pulled out of the hat and decided, oh, we'd like to have that. So improving the restrooms at the athletic field, repairing bleachers, press box, and replacing field lighting. At the $1.85, you're remodeling the elementary cafeteria, athletic field restrooms, bleachers, press box, field lighting, outdoor student spaces, structures added. So the outdoor spaces could be the covered playground for the elementary school, because that was the next, this biggest project that the public identified, but it's also $700,000. And I just wanted to say that when people responded to district level projects, of course, the first priority was the artificial turf field. But what I would recommend to you is that you'll notice it's not included in any bond project costs. So what I would recommend is that you use some of your Frontier Charter money that you've saved to be able to do the football field. Because that's your, separate money that you've accounted for. And giving away over, $600,000 grant money would not be a wise move to
Right.
do.
But that wouldn't be anything we would have to put in this resolution.
No,
correct?
that's
That
why it's
because-
not even in
because-
here.
Because we could use that monies that we're not even using from the state.
Right, and I just
Yeah.
wanted to address that because in the
Yep.
public input,
Yep.
it was the top priority for district projects.
Right.
And so then when you look at, well, why did you put lighting and restrooms and bleachers over the field? Well, that's because we have another avenue for paying for the field. Don't have another avenue for paying for
Those other
these other items.
Sounds good.
So at the 1.85, we have to determine, or the 1.8, right?
Right.
And then after, we make the motion, then does he read the resolution? Is that how that works?
What you
Or
can
what?
do is if you look at the action item language on page 39 of your packet, the not to exceed amount, you can write, you would state $1.80 or $1.85, whichever one you're picking.
Yeah,
And then you've got the not to exceed amount is highlighted on the first page of each of these proposals.
okay, I'm just gonna write that.
So the $1.85
Yeah.
is $28,130,000,
I'm sorry, 28 million what?
130,000.
So that was not to exceed
Yep,
that.
that's $1.85. $1.80
Oh, sure. Yeah.
and then $1.80 is not to exceed 27,375,000. Now remember, that's not how much the project's gonna cost because you're adding the $6 million awesome grant. It's just, this is the amount that you're asking the taxpayers to
Okay.
support.
Correct.
Okay.
And I get that.
And as a review,
Uh-huh.
when we're looking at the difference between $1.80 and $1.85, what that does to someone's property taxes.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Remember, if the average home is assessed at 150,000 and you're going for $1.80, that means that that's $270 a year. If it's $1.85, it's $277.50 a year.
Yes, I will be, I'm for the larger number, 1.85,
$1.85.
$1.85.
On my,
Then,
I mean, the last go around was, we asked 197.
yeah, 1.87.
I mean, we've come down,
And we're still, that's
And-
still the lowest. in-
and it still doesn't cover everything that ought to be
No.
taken care of.
But-
So, I'm not gonna go lower. Okay, do we need more, or can we make the motion?
If you're comfortable, you can.
I'm
Get it done.
comfortable. I move that the Jervis School District Number 1 Board of Directors approves the bond resolution as included in the board packet for the amount not to exceed $1.85 to finance capital costs not to exceed 28,130,000.
Do we have a motion?
Second.
We have a second? Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
I,
Aye. All right, get to work, lady.
I was gonna say, thanks, guys. Okay, you have one more action item for tonight, and well, actually two more, so let's get to a couple of things here. Possibly two. Okay, the next one is the bond oversight committee application, so I shared a draft with you a couple of weeks ago about what that would look like. And so the process for this to happen would be that if you decide, yes, we want to move forward with the bond committee application process, I would get this form online as well as printed. And then we would post it as soon as possible with the deadline being April, as it says on the draft application, April 8th. And then you would start looking at who to appoint after the bond passed. And so besides the application, the people that apply to be on the committee, they'll have 5 to 7 people on the committee. You're also going to have 1 or 2 board members, and then you're going to have each building principal and or assistant principal, and then a licensed representative and a classified representative from each building.
Whoa.
And then as you're looking at special projects like the cafeteria remodel or athletics or office space, you bring in the people that work in those spaces to give feedback about, well, what should that look like and what should that include? So there'll be some members of the committee that kind of come in and out depending on what their role is. And that it's a 5-year commitment.
5-year commitment.
It is a 5-year commitment.
Okay.
I mean, not to say you know exactly what's going to happen in 5 years. They say 5 years because it takes at least that long to bid out, start the construction, finish the construction, and then finish paying for everything. You know, because bills are still coming in after you've finished,
Oh, yeah.
right?
So then you're having a committee for the high school, the middle school. the grade
It'll be
level.
one committee,
One committee,
and
and then,
they will, that committee, you know, will, experts in those areas, like at the high school or the elementary school, come in and give their feedback and input, but as a committee, they are responsible for making sure that everything that's spent falls in with what you said you were gonna spend it on in your resolution. So it can't be, oh, Andy's getting a new district office, because it's not anywhere in here.
right, okay. So, and you said how many, because I'm assuming you're gonna have to put an application, look at everything.
Mhm.
How many people total will be on this I mean, besides board members, just the,
There'll be 5 to 7, depending on, you know, if you get a really great representation of different
Yeah.
community members,
Yeah.
I would hate for you to say, oh, no, we're gonna stick with 5.
Okay.
But then you'll have, like I said, school
Mhm.
and the business manager will be on there, that
Yep.
committee as well.
Okay. Got it, thank you.
Yeah, we can make that motion if there's nothing in here
Yep.
that specifies it's 5 to 7.
Yeah, I would say so, yeah.
Okay, does anybody have any? No, okay, then I'm gonna do a motion. I move that the Jervis School District #1 Board of Directors approves the Bond Oversight Committee application process as presented by Mrs. Stevens.
We have a motion. We have a second. All in favor? Aye.
Okay, so as a discussion item, the first thing we have is the draft calendar for next year. You'll be slated to make this an action item at your next board meeting in March. I've shared this with both licensed and classified associations. I don't know if anybody has any feedback yet. You could give it to me throughout the next month or so and ask questions.
The teachers already have a copy, right?
Yes, they
So
do.
they can provide.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They can- yeah.
They're the ones that I
Yeah.
really more
Yeah.
am concerned.
Exactly.
I have no opinion on this.
Yeah.
They can do whatever they
This is
want.
all
If
of
they,
them.
other than them.
Yeah.
As long as you get the
Right.
school days in.
Yeah,
optional.
exactly.
Yeah.
All I ask.
And we don't need to make a motion.
No, it's just
Yeah.
for your review.
For our review right now. Perfect.
The next item up for discussion, is bond update, but I have nothing else to say. Okay.
Yeah, I don't either.
There's nothing left to say, no.
So you have you had a copy, a draft last week of the proposed dates of the next steps. So, that the district will be involved in. It's separate from the PAC. We have a letter that went out yesterday to everybody, that talks about, the issue of closure and consolidation and what happens if this bond doesn't pass. I have a quote from Bob Zelinski in there, and a quote from Angie Torn in there with regard to what it means if this bond doesn't pass. And then on the other side of it, it has the dates of when they can come and meet and hear presentations and.
That's awesome.
all of
I
that
love
stuff.
that.
Yeah.
Do we have, what that one gentleman want? He wants a wow thing. on
We're
Labor Day.
working on the wow.
What was-
Yeah,
what- that's
yeah,
what
it
you
was.
said,
It's
right?
all the highlights,
We're gonna
like,
call it good news.
yeah, the good
The
news.
Good news, so we're
The
working
good
on that.
stories.
You're Belty, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all Belty, yeah. Sure.
And then I just wanted to share some feedback that we've received after mailing out the property tax statements. We have had people call us and say, good job. We had a man yesterday that said, that it was a brilliant idea. But that really, he was under the impression that the previous bond was gonna cost him over $1,000. And so when he saw that assessed value and he realized that it was would have been 400, he said that this is a no-brainer. I was at your meeting the other week. I think he was at like Springs. And I just think that it's time. And so I was a no vote and now I'm a yes vote. And so there are some people who have been offended, that have been annoyed that we shared,
That we accessed their information or shared it with renters. And so my response to that is there continued to be so much misinformation, especially after we conducted the polling done by the third party, that it was clear to us that people did not understand the difference between assessed and market value. And they also didn't understand that as renters, they had the right to vote on something to do with property taxes. And so while again, the district would never want to offend anybody or, be abrasive in any way, it is our responsibility to educate as best we can every member of our public who makes up our school district.
100%.
And that's what we did.
That is well said.
So,
And all of that is public record
all public
and
record, so-
accessible online.
Anybody can look it up.
Anybody can.
and we had more than 50 people volunteer to put that information together. The fact that teachers
You
and
did.
other classified staff here after 3:30, that it was important enough to them to give up their time to do that. I would then at least hope people would come to an informational meeting to get some more information.
Oh, listen, it was nice. We had all the tables around here
Mhm.
completely full of volunteers.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so the only other item you have is looking at your applications for your budget committee. And so you had 3 open positions. You have 3 applications.
They all are great.
If you decide that is and we have some members in the audience right now. If you decide that you're satisfied with their application and the information they had to share that leads you to believe that they would be able to serve, then you could go ahead and move it to an action item. And so we've included that language,
Let's move.
separate from. your packet.
They were looking.
Where is this language?
It is an attachment that says appoint budget committee members. It's a separate attachment.
I have so many things on
You
here.
have a lot of files, sorry.
Oversight.
Okay.
Do you have to read all the names or?
Yes, you have to read all
Yeah,
of them.
that's, I don't want to massacre anybody's name, but Frank, is Frank here?
Yes.
Hi, Frank. How do you say your last name? Styler? Slicer.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Like baseball.
Thank you.
Would you like to coach? Oh.
Yeah, don't fall into.
And,
Yeah.
and is this from Corinne?
Courtney. yeah.
Courtney?
Courtney.
It's Courtney?
Okay.
Courtney. And that young, I can figure. And then Dee Dee McNair? No,
I think it's McNair.
McNair?
I had to go say with it.
Okay, all right, then I am gonna.
Be a McNair.
Okay. I move that the Bureau School District #1 Board of Directors appoints Dee Dee McNair as Budget Committee member for a term of 3 years.
Doing it all.
You can do it all.
Oh, all at one time?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I had to
read
do
all
it.
the
I
names.
thought I had.
We're all like.
I thought I had to do it individually.
Individual.
Oh, no. Starting over. Move that the Jervis School District Number One Board of Directors appoint Dee McInair, Courtney Young, and Frank Slider as budget committee members for a term of 3 years.
Very good. We have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. One more discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Welcome.
Welcome
Right.
aboard.
I am so happy. Thank you for volunteering.
Yes.
So Karen will start contacting all of the budget committee members and we'll start doing some preliminary work with them before we even get too far into this.
And so what's left next is we need to go into executive
Executive.
session for 2 issues.
Very good. Right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.